Mike was an amazing father, husband, and an all-around great guy. He lived by the motto, make each day your masterpiece. And he was 6'9", so he was not a short guy, so he played basketball. And he fell into the love of John Wooden's teachings, and he truly lived by make each day your masterpiece, and he treated people well. He inspired our children. He coached basketball, and everyone that he always met on the teams, they always understood that they knew how Mike worked, and I swear it came back from the teachings of John Wooden, and also how his parents raised him. So.
And with that, talking about basketball, and really a true inspiration, I would say, in following his dreams of being a firefighter. Growing up, he actually started off as a photojournalist after school, and my grandfather, his dad, was also a firefighter, so kind of went in the family line, and it was cool seeing that, he loved photojournalism, but firefighting called to him, I would say. And when I was in school, probably about, 5th grade, and he changed that career choice to join firefighting.
When Mike was growing up, he grew up small town Iowa, and they lived right across the street from the fire station. And so he loved pretending to be Johnny Gage from Emergency, and his dad even made him his homemade biophone so he could call into Rampart General when he was a little kid. And even at home today, we still have his 1970s emergency fire helmet. And we have, of course, the entire 7th season of Emergency, which it might be on VHS tape, but there was always this passion. So even when he was a photojournalist, he was always pitching fire stories to the TV stations. And then when he got up to St. Paul and was working at the TV station up there, he was doing so many fire stories. And as he said, he finally got tired of chasing the ambulances for the stories, and he wanted to be on the fire engine to help people. So he knew his calling, and he made us proud.
He was an amazing dad. Growing up, he was one of the best basketball coaches, I could have, and taught me so many different life lessons, not, just on the court, but off the court as well, and seeing, how to become that great man, following his footsteps is nothing I could, even amount up to, and being able to follow him with that calling, the passion that he showed in life, to be able to know that he was my dad, it's just a great honor overall. I have one sister, and she's actually in UW lacrosse right now, and she's in grad school becoming a physical therapist.
Oh my gosh, she is daddy's girl. Like Matthew said, the kids were small when Mike made the career change, and so when he became this firefighter, I thought he immediately would become a firefighter, but I had to finally realize that no, he was quitting his job to learn to be a firefighter. So he was stay-at-home dad while he was, taking classes. He joined the on-call fire department, so that wasn't a full-time job. And so he was the dad that took the kids on these different, they would call them little day trips. So he would take them to the grocery store. He'd call and say, "Can I show the kids the back of the grocery store?" And he took them, of course, to the fire department because he wanted to show the kids the fire department, and the post office, the police station, he even had them lock up Megan in the cell. So when you ask about his relationship, he's just great. He just had so many fun things to do. He was a fun dad. And
I think the best thing about it, with being a firefighter, at St. Paul it was on and off every 24 hours. So him being home, with us was just amazing because he was one of the best cooks around. Had the green egg smoker, and Megan and I would be able to, cook with him. And so learning that from getting some good, secret recipes now, so I can't share them. But it was just amazing. And then I think the best thing about it, with her relationship with him at least, was when she played volleyball and lacrosse, Mom and him would drive out to see Megan. And so Megan always looked from the stands, wave, and I think that was just awesome seeing that. Yeah. He would take that time out of his day to drive out there to go see her, and then see me in Seattle and Missouri.
Yeah, Mike always felt that he's at the time that they're going to be, because when you were a career firefighter, that's what Matt was saying, you could have your shift and you could trade shifts and do things, and it was very important to Mike that he said Megan's only going to have 4 years of volleyball. And so we would trade, I'd get the schedule and I'm like, okay, you need these days off, trade these days. Yeah. And we could make it to all her volleyball trips, outstate, whenever. And same with Matthew. Matthew was stationed out at McCord Air Force Base, and so we made the time to go out to see him before he got deployed. And we look back on those days before Mike got the diagnosis of leukemia, and I'm so thankful that Mike, like he said, make each day your masterpiece. And I swear it always ties back to that. And he made the effort to say, we're going to go see the kids. We're going to go to all her volleyball games. And little did we know, 6 months later he was going to get diagnosed, and then 6 months after that we lost him. Everything happened so fast, but yeah, we have those memories of like how he lived, and I'm so thankful. Like, you have to count your blessings, but I'm so thankful how he inspired our children and made a good impression, and they can grow up to be good people. So he was large, and he lived large, and he had an even a bigger heart. So just a truly wonderful, everyone that's being honored, they're all wonderful people, and we all have great stories and great memories, and it's, like I said, it's hard when everything that's happened, you always have to understand that someone else has something else that has happened. It's worse, something else. Everybody has something that's worse. I'm not saying this correctly, but that's how we got through Mike's 6 months of being diagnosed with leukemia. We always told ourselves, there's always someone else out there that has something worse going on, and we tried to always keep it in perspective. In the fire service, both on the on-call department in Maple Grove and on Mike's career, the full-time in St. Paul, he was known as, first of all, this giant firefighter. I believe he truly was the tallest on both departments, and he was always there to help people. He loved to be busy, so in St. Paul, he loved to be on the ambulance and the engine, so he loved being busy, always on calls, and he was always very good and compassionate with patients. We would hear so many stories from the firefighters, like, oh, you should have seen your dad with that patient, and just the compassion that he had, and he could always relate to people, and weirdest stories, but he would always just find a way to connect with them, and they would always be talking about it later, like, I cannot believe how your dad did that, or your husband did that, and just full of, and then a good cook. Yeah. Like, everyone knew he was a great cook, but again, most firefighters are, but he loved his recipes and talking about the green egg. Yeah. So when Mike was diagnosed with leukemia, Matthew had just been deployed. So we didn't have Matthew in the States, and then Megan was at college. So it was just Mike and me at home, and we were very positive from the very beginning we were going to beat this. So we kept telling Matthew, we kept reassuring him everything's okay. Mike went into aggressive chemotherapy right away, and this is all during COVID. So he went into a 30-day in-hospital chemo treatment regimen, and I was there every day to see him, and I think I made it to day 20 before COVID hit, and I was literally kicked out of the hospital. Mike's fire department, he had buddies coming from St. Paul, from Maple Grove. He had buddies in other communities like Richfield Fire. They would literally come to the hospital to see him, and those things so brightened his day. And we are beyond appreciative of all of the time that they gave to him to come see him. And they not only brightened up Mike, they brightened up the nursing staff, because of course they have such great sense of humors. And so they would come in and see us, and when COVID hit and shut everybody down in March, I was suddenly at home and could not visit Mike anymore at all. And obviously Mike's brothers and sisters in the fire department could not get in to see him either. And so there was a lot of support with them reaching out to me, calling me, texting me, are you guys okay? Is there you need anything? And then when Mike did get out of that first round, we found out he had to go right into another second round. So Mike ended up being in the hospital 70 days, and of that 70, 50, he had no visitation. So when Mike came home after those first 70, we thought we were in the clear with the diagnosis. He would do follow-up appointments, and we had folks from Maple Grove, we had folks from St. Paul that would come pick him up and take him to appointments. And when I look back on that now, I'm like, oh, why didn't I do all of those appointments? But I think there was a reason he got to have time with his brothers, and as they had time in the car going down to appointments. And so again, I think that we might have missed out on a couple things here and there, but he got to see his brothers to go back and forth. And then after Mike passed, because it was only 6 months that we had that diagnosis and we're in the middle of COVID, I couldn't imagine not having a funeral for Mike, because he loved his community and he touched so many, because he coached basketball. The city of St. Paul and the St. Paul Fire Department went out of their way to work with our on-call department, Maple Grove, and they were able to pull together this beautiful service for Mike in St. Paul outside, because we had to worry about mask mandates, we had to worry about attendance and numbers, and it was a beautiful ceremony that I think did justice. It was beautiful. The National Fallen Firefighters Memorial of the Foundation, to be honest, I've been able to reach out and see things online, and it's been helpful to read other folks' stories, to read about other firefighters. And personally, I think we hadn't really had that connection with them yet until now. And I realize we've missed out. It's amazing to reach out to people who truly understand. And I can see more things in the future with the kids and myself joining things and coming back to volunteer, just because you actually see them, and it makes me realize how much other people probably didn't know, and be able to share about that.
You know, even when we landed at the airport at Baltimore, with them coming out and talking to us right away made the biggest difference. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the men's retreat this year, just with everything going on with the military and us, with me moving. But in the future, I'm definitely looking at going to there. And I even got one of the females, she invited me to the Facebook page for the adults, or young adults that lost a father. And so just being part of that and, already exploring that avenue has just been amazing, just because most people, that have lost a parent, or, it's nice that they're helping you, they're sorry, but they almost don't know what it's like when you lose a firefighter almost. And it's, at least somebody here now, all these families that have gone through that, it's just so much easier to connect with them on that level. I want the world to know that he was a caring person, that he would go out of his way to help his community, and whatever that meant, the calling that he had, and just the world to know that he was just the most upstanding citizen and the best person, and that John Wooden quote, "Make every day your masterpiece," that was his motto.
And I think for me with Mike, the way I'm hoping there's a part of Mike's legacy that will help people, just like Mike always helped people in the fire department, and he wanted to help people, but he would never wanted to be in the center of attention. But I'm really hoping that there's this part of Mike's legacy that will live on to help people, not only in Minnesota, but also in the country. And what I mean by that is that when Mike passed away from leukemia, the state of Minnesota did not recognize cancer as a line of duty death. And that was changed now last year. Mike became the first person in Minnesota to receive the line of duty death determination for cancer in Minnesota. And I knew it would be a big challenge for that to happen, but when it did, I was very stunned by the response we heard from nationwide. And I finally realized that that's a big step. There are so many cancers today, and the fact that Mike was able to receive that designation from the state not only just hopefully helps people down the line in Minnesota, but hopefully it helps people nationwide. I think that'd be such a tribute to his legacy, that knowing that something that was very heartbreaking to us could definitely help others, help people and their families. So.
Here's to you, with that smile on your face. Here's